Hey YouTube, and welcome to Silent Code Dev. So welcome to day 75 of becoming a front-end developer from zero. Can't believe I'm still doing this. But yeah, today we're going to be learning about arrow functions. So this one is very important as it's easier to read, rather than writing like the entire function, blah, blah. You have arrow functions. So yeah, guys, before I start, please feel free to leave a like, comment below, and subscribe. Also, if you're learning to code, if you are on the same path as I am or anything else, you can always contact me in my Discord. You can look in the description below and you can find some information there. So with that stated, hope you guys are doing fine, and let's dive into this. Okay, so before we learn about arrow functions, let's take a look at a small but useful feature. Say we have got the following code. So function add 1, number, return number plus 1, 3, 6. So if you have nothing here, what is return? So what do you think will happen if you call add 1 without any argument? It's not really an argument. Yeah, it is argument, sorry. This is an argument, this is a parameter. Yeah, I didn't mean to do that. In some programming languages, this would fail, but in JavaScript, it won't fail, and your code will continue to execute. So the number parameter will receive a value of undefined. So the function will return undefined plus 1, which results in not a number. We've seen in the previous chapter that we can prevent this by adding an if condition. However, there's an easier way. Let's take a look at default parameters. Yeah, I know about that one. So no, if you're confused by the difference between parameter arguments, here is a short definition. A parameter is a variable in a function definition. When a function is called, the arguments are the data you pass into the method's parameter. So for example here, right, this would be the parameter. It's like a variable for the function, right? So here, for example, you can use it, and then you have an argument. So an argument is where it's the actual value of the parameter, right? So this is an argument when you're calling the function and you add the real value, and in the function you're gonna have a parameter, which is like a variable basically, or a placeholder for the actual value. So yeah, default parameter. So default parameters allow you to give a default value for one or more parameters that have not been provided when the function is called. So let's fix the example above and the default number to 0. So function add 1. So you can add a default value if there is none to 0, and it's going to be, yeah, that's easy. So when you call the function add 1 without any arguments, it will use the default value you defined in the function signature, number equals 0, which is why we get back 1 from the function. See how we were able to prevent NaN without adding an if condition. Also notice that how add 1 to still works as before. So when you do provide an argument, the default parameter is ignored. Here is one more example. So you have function welcome user, name equals user, and return hello name. Okay. So yeah, that was easy to understand. And I need to, yeah. Oh, this is a new chapter. So I need to restart this chapter. Okay. So yeah, improved sum. You've been, oh, okay. You've been provided with a function sum that returns the sum of the parameter a and b it receives. However, in some cases, we are getting nan. So fix this function without using if conditions or ternary so that we don't get nan. Check the sample usage to see examples. Oh, I'm tired today. And yeah. But yeah, as I told you guys, I work night shift now, so okay, this is restarted. So yeah, I'm kind of tired. So if you're wondering like why am I tired all the time, it's because I mean in general I work a lot, right? And I do code after work. So I would love to do it like early in the morning. Okay. But log users IDs. So our log users ID function fails when we call it without any parameter. Fix that without using an if condition. So here, so when you do this, it's gonna give us undefined because there's nothing here. If we do user, or I can say like 0, I guess. We can use an if, sorry. It says without using that. So what in the, wait. Cannot read properties of undefined reading for each user IDs. Yeah, it's so confusing because it says our log user IDs function fails when we call it without any parameters. But here we have a parameter, right? User IDs. So I'm confused. So that's why I'm like restart. Oh my god, okay. Yeah, so I had the wrong data type. So it's not, I just didn't understand like what it was trying to do. But we're using for each. Oh my god, I should have known that. Okay, because he's trying to use for each, but it's like it doesn't work on string, it doesn't work on number, because it needs to be it's an array method. Oh my god. Okay, so now we're gonna read about arrow functions. So in this lesson we'll get to know how to write arrow functions. An arrow function has three main benefits. So the first one is it's shorter to write. It uses lexical scope. This will be explained in a later chapter, as we need to learn more about classes first. And it can benefit from implicit return, covered in the next chapter. So here's an example of arrow function. So count sum equals AB, return AB. So if you've never seen an arrow function, the syntax will most likely look weird at first. However, after you get used to it, it might take a few days. You will notice that it's not easy to read. I mean, it is easy to read and easy to write. From function to arrow function. In this section, we'll show you the steps that you need to go from a function to an arrow function. These steps are useful when introducing the concept of arrow functions. Once you get used to it, you will be able to write an arrow function directly. There are multiple ways of writing a function in JavaScript. You could either define a function and give it a name, or you could define a variable and assign it to an anonymous function. So the following function sum, that's a normal, and const sum function AB. So notice how we define a variable sum, and then we assign it to a function that takes two parameters, AB. Now let's convert that function into an arrow function. You can do that in two steps. So one would be to remove the function keyword, and two, add an arrow and between the parameters AB and the opening curly braces. So this is what it would look like. So you have like sum AB, return AB. So arrow functions always starts with the parameters, followed by, so you have like a variable, and then you have like the parameters, then you have the arrow, and then you have the curly braces with the actual execution, like what you want to execute, the code. So our functions deprecated? No, you can keep writing for normal functions. They're not deprecated. This is why the first 8 chapters of this course we're using normal functions. You need to know how to write them because they are very common. It is preferred that you use arrow functions though, because of their benefits. Okay, so it says here that you are given a function triple that returns the result of its parameter multiplied by 3. So rewrite it as an arrow function. So I'm just looking. So this is the parameter. This is the function. We can just name it that. So what we can do is we can say const triple equals, and then we have the so the parameter I forgot actually. Multiplied by 3. So we can just say, I don't know if we're gonna say like number, then we have an arrow function, number times 3. Okay, so define your own arrow function. So in this challenge, you are asked to write the triple function from scratch as an arrow function. The function triple receives a parameter and returns the result of multiplying it by 3. Okay, so we can say const triple Okay, so define your own arrow function. So in this challenge, you are asked to write the sum function from scratch. So the function sum receives 2 parameters. So you can say const sum equals a b, return I don't know if this is no. Okay, so revisiting array methods. So in this lesson, we'll take a look at how we can use arrow functions in some of the array methods that we have seen. So array for each. Yeah, I've always been using arrow methods, right? So I kind of know what to do with that. But it's always great to, if you guys want to see. So we're gonna do okay, so using an arrow function to complete the function, get drop down value such that it returns the following HTML. I think we can just do. I'm just gonna do this. Use for each. So we're just gonna do. So it's gonna start with this. We've got to use template literals. So country and then of course we need to return it. HTML. Okay, so temperatures for each temperature. Return. But we need to use filter. Temperature above 0. Okay, so nice work. Implicit return, blah blah blah. So a parameter, yeah, we know that when you call a function, yeah. Oh, I'm so exhausted. Okay, guys. So in the next video, we're going to be learning about implicit return. So thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah, peace out.